team number 1, SKT on blue side.
Banning out the Karma. They're not willing to first pick it this time around, and the flex pick is something that they don't want to deal with. So they get it out of that champion pool, and now Caitlyn as well. So it still remains with Zach, Galio, and Elise available. And Gragas, one of those picks that I think is slowly making its way up that ladder in terms of bannable champions, having so much synergy with nearly every other role that so many times we see teams first pick it, first ban it, and if it doesn't get locked away here, it could possibly happen this time around. Usually Peanut gets Lee Sin banned against him, and now that Galio or Zach has been banned on the blue side, we might just see a Galio ban and have Peanut get his favorite champion.
Could definitely happen. See, there are still MVP fans out there, even after the long losing streak, looking for the 2 wins in a row down there on the left side.
Ooh, wait a minute. It looks like SKT's banned out Galio and Zach themselves. That perhaps they want Kalista as a first pick. That's what I'm guessing here. Making so much noise across the world, but it's going to be the Elise instead. Pardon me on that one. It was still available, but with those picks out of the table, you now have Elise, and they might have read a bit of KT's notes when they went up against themselves, with the Elise Renekton being such a powerful combination for snowballing the top side of the map. But MVP responds with a pretty hefty early game themselves with Rek'Sai and Varus. Last time we saw how fast a Rek'Sai can melt through an Elise, even at a tremendous health disadvantage. So the pick definitely does a lot of damage now, but can it transition well into the mid game? Sometimes we've seen it happen.
Yeah, and going with the Varus Rek'Sai means they're going to give over another champion with tons of lockdown, tons of engage, that Thresh alongside the Elise. The 2 of them together, you know, regardless of the AD carry in the bottom lane, can set up some pretty nice action down there. Question is, what will they pick up next?
Renekton still seems like a possibility, even though Ntara has played Camille and other carries, but yep, that's what it's going to be. And just as if they were KT themselves, going with a super solid topside draft with a great support to skirmish and assist that lane with a roam. But you have to remember that Thresh against Rek'Sai is a great support matchup. You can always flay you out of that tunnel if you are engaging, or if you get caught, it's nearly impossible for you to escape. If Wolf's plays are on point, anytime that Beyond goes in, he must be prepared to either flash out or stay in, knowing that he will win that battle.
So they were hovering the Cassiopeia there. Just at the end, they switch it to the Rumble, deciding to pick their matchup against Renekton so far. And we're going to have to see a very careful ADD in the top side on red side Rumble against that Elise Renekton composition. I think that's Ntara.
Yeah, that's Ntara.
With a Poppy sketch on the top right.
That's a great Poppy.
Yeah.
What does it say?
I don't know what that means, actually, the big Korean. There was a ton of small Korean.
It's like, you have a steadfast presence in my heart. That's what it means.
This says that Wolf is cuter than Zach. All the poor Zachs out there in the world are like, no.
Than Zach?
Yeah.
The
Zach
champion?
the champion. Yeah.
No comment. Back to the bans. Zyra and Kalista getting removed. So Kalista makes sense. Bang has been a great Kalista, and the synergy with Thresh is not to be understood. They basically just banned out exactly what KT played against SKT in Game 1. So it looks like this is the composition that many teams will be mimicking from now on. And Zyra on the side of SKT, champions that will create a big zone of disengage when you're dealing with a composition that just wants to get picked, such as what SKT have so far.
The last ban, down to 0 seconds. They finally decide Cassiopeia. And greetings from Germany. Faker Senpai at SKT for the win. Liking the signs here. Getting some foreign fans down to the Nexon Arena.
Yeah, there's people from all over the world. Just earlier, we had people from California. We have now Germany, Netherlands. Every day there's a new nationality in here. It's a beautiful thing here. Oh my goodness. If they lock in this LeBlanc, this SKT composition is going to be so devastating to deal with. This is just a full-on pick comp, and now they can just round it out with Ash for Bang. He did play 3 games in a row of Ash against KT, and it would work wonders in this composition. However, Xayah is still available, which would add a different flavor, but having Ash on this side means that every single champion of SKT is built towards the same goal, and it doesn't matter. Xayah does the same thing. Get him some practice on some other picks, and this is a solid draft from SKT. Whoa, what? You can't both
SKTP.
That's just being on the fence. You got to commit. Whoever wins, the sticker comes off, and it's revealed that she was with the winning team all along.
It said Rift Rivals fighting. Like,
what about KT? Why are they not there?
Because they're not playing today.
All right. But Max will be playing that Blitzcrank, so the X factor of Blitz is always something to consider, especially against Leblanc. So Leblanc against Blitzcrank is a curious matchup because anytime that Leblanc chooses to use Distortion, you always have the opportunity of using your ultimate to immediately prevent her from distortioning back. That 0.5-second silence can be enough time to kill Faker, so he has to play respectful of that. And speaking of respect, Ian taking that cleanse against Elise and Leblanc, but so much of this early game is going to rely on Peanut and the rest of SKT to set up the side lanes. If they can do so properly, this game could just be blown wide open so quickly from the side of SKT. Meanwhile, MVP's team fighting can be something to be in awe of when they hit that mid to late game between Chains of Corruption, the Equalizer, and then Scat of the Week from Syndra.
They definitely do have a nice bit of pick themselves, adding to that with the Blitzcrank and tons of magic damage to come out of both Rumble and Syndra. I wouldn't be surprised to see some itemization come out to specifically counter that, but I mean, this is SKT. If they do get ahead, as you said, I wouldn't be surprised to see this one just be wrapped up in about under 26, 27 minutes. Kind of the way they like to do.
We could see that happen, especially if they start picking on the top side between Elise and Renekton, but also ADD as Rumble will have an easier time surviving than a champion like Lucian, maybe even Gnar or Kennen to the top side. And then when you have Rek'Sai, who's so effective at counter ganking because her damage, because her one-way tunnel means that if somebody's already committed their dash moves and you can get a knock-up right there, then you can just clean them up.
Excited to see if MVP can put up a fight here against SKT, the Kings of the Rift currently. Let's jump into game number 1 and find out. Holy crap. MVP brought everybody out today, not holding back.
Well, when else would you bring out everybody when you're face off against SKT?
This is prime time. The tickets were sold out before the first matchup even began.
Looks like the junglers will be starting off at Raptors, and understandably for Elise, you know she wants to finish in the top side of the map. So the key for ADD here is going to be reading the wave management from Untara. If he starts drawing the wave back and eventually building a big minion wave, then that's your indication of a tower dive. If he's trying to freeze, then you know that, oh, look at that. This guy does not do the Scar ward. That's a beautiful ward. That is perfectly placed, effortlessly too.
Easy peasy.
See, when you can do that.
You said the Scar Award? That's an old reference.
When you can do that, you're allowed to have 9 different supports.
Okay, coming in, Untara steals 2 small Raptors. That's a big deal. Beyond will stay at level 1.
And that's because ADD chose to save his Trinket Ward early on. Normally, we would have seen a Trinket Ward be placed to identify this move happening, but he's saving it to beware for Elise's later gank. So he's keeping himself in mind as opposed to the jungler, and this could pay off for him in the long run, but it could also mean that Beyond can't keep up with Elise's pace. And if that doesn't happen and Elise gets an advantage out of that, she can get a kill, get those Mobies early, and we've seen how that happens so many times.
Look at the chunk. Faker walking up and eating a stun. Not expecting that damage. Did start with the Corrupting Pot, so can regen all that health that he did just lose.
we mentioned the wave earlier. Here's Beyond, but that's a level 2 Rumble right now. Unlikely to be able to follow through.
Going in, and Beyond does have the red buff. Untara, though, with the double dash, will get out of there.
When the game started, I mentioned, okay, they have to look at the wave for how Renekton is going to play. That's going to be your indication for where Elise is. And because he chose to push the wave early, you know that he's perhaps thinking about either have Rumble build a big wave or maybe have it just bounce back evenly. And that's an indication that Peanut is not really fancying a dive at that side of the map. And as such, Beyond decides that maybe he can get something in the top side, but ends up losing his blue buff as a result. And now Elise is eyeing him out at the Wolf camp.
Ian's doing a really good job with dealing with Faker's Leblanc in the mid lane. Faker really trying to put on some pressure, but he misses the chains. And so kind of gets himself into a weird position where he has to stay for the combo, but will definitely eat damage in return. So you see he's forced to use his teleport early here if he wants to get back to that lane, which he will.
Remember, this is not the easiest matchup for LeBlanc. The Scat of the Week for Syndra is going to do so much work in dealing with her distortion that you can cancel out the damage, you can just lock her down, and if she even gets an auto off, you might even get minion aggro on your side against her. And now he blows that scrying orb, pops a control ward, and he's got the lane frozen, so he chose to sacrifice some HP to freeze the wave in his favor. So he's going to start building up that CS right back up and perhaps open up an opportunity for Peanut to find his way onto the mid lane, although that's a double D-ring Syndra with a bit more HP than typically, as we normally would have seen her go for a Morellonomicon early on with the Lost Chapter. So he's going to be a bit more safe than normal.
Yeah, getting that early back, Doran's Ring boots makes you just so much safer against not only the LeBlanc, but also the Elise. And it's kind of a weird trade we saw up in top lane. You know, Rumble with the cooldown nerfs that he received, where the cooldown on his Q is a lot higher, but does more damage. Untara just fighting straight into that while it was heated up, and then backing off. And it was funny because ADD was just stunned the whole time, not moving, and you know, Untara was doing the work. Kind of like in this trade, but ADD took more damage. But after all, okay, ADD's going in actually with the Flame Spitter. Untara forced to get out of there.
Good use of these Slice and Dice, get that double dash. It's fun to see the evolution of Renekton and how many players have gotten so good at just barely getting that double dash in. You just get a tiny bit of the frame in on one of the larger champions, and you can get that double dash when it seemingly felt like you couldn't, like it wouldn't proc it. But earlier, we did see the ward that Faker plays, Scout Out Beyond. That's where Peanut took the opportunity to recall. So they are aware that Rek'Sai is not in the top side of the map, as Peanut is here already. So now the information that has been sent has been received by SKT, and now both junglers have found themselves, and it's unlikely that they end up fighting because the minions are all away.
Okay, Wolf going for that flash hook, but Max trying to block with his own flash. Not sure if necessary, as Maha was going to be missed. But either way, a valiant
style point. That's all that matters here. You got great style there, and most of all, your willingness to sacrifice your own life for your support. That makes you happy as an AD carry when you can see that your support cares about your life just so much.
It's true. You got to build the bond in the bot lane. No, they're not playing Kalista. Here's Beyond, and not going to go for it, dodging that death sentence by a hair.
That is a weird angle to go for that play. Now Peanut gets a ward up, and the second Beyond unburrows. He did scout out Elise. Okay, so he's not going to fall for this. But showing himself, and both junglers now having been revealed, now allow Faker to go for a safe recall there, knowing that nothing is going to happen on top of the control ward. And so far, the early game is dead even.
Yeah, exactly. Even no big plays up in top lane yet from Peanut. He's sitting at level 5, and he is about to do his rotation into the buffs. So let's see if he goes for any big plays, big ganks with those buffs that he does pick up. Does get the red buff.
Well, he's going to have to find something early because Beyond has completed his Tiamat now, and that means that he's going to be able to power farm much faster than Elise, who, because she didn't get that snowball early, did not go for those mobilities, which is a wise choice by Peanut. Otherwise, your ability to farm just dwindles severely. Here he goes, trying to make that play happen. There are no summoners onto this duo lane, so this could easily turn into a kill on either Max or Maha.
You see Maha's playing pretty far back in the immediate dodge, and the Cocoon will hit Max, though. They're trying to burst him down. This should be a kill as no flash is available. First blood goes over to Bang.
So easy for them to pull this one off. No summoners onto the bottom lane. You know that Rek'Sai is in the top side, so there is no chance of help. And now Beyond scouts out Faker, but Renekton's not in that position to help.
He's going. Look at that burst damage beyond his no tanky stats. A solo kill from Faker in the river.
So much damage, what?
Not even blinking. He's like, yeah, just another day.
Oh boy, it's a Syndra syndrome, but onto LeBlanc, and now that Dark Seal has 2 stacks. She's got red buff, so the trading against Ian
the miss.
is not going to be that effective anymore.
Peanut taking a cheeky Ocean Drake. With the way that this laning phase is going and the lack of damage on the turrets, this is actually going to be pretty nice for SKT.
That will help out every lane. Having an Ocean Dragon in the laning phase is where you want this dragon. That's where it helps you the most. Oh boy, Ian's just in trouble now. The wave is pushing back for LeBlanc with red buff. He can't trade.
That red buff is so annoying.
Yeah, the regeneration is huge, so this is a great gank there. He's aiming for Blitz. Maha, I'm going to give him the credit that he's aiming for Blitz. So just super simple to go for him, and Bang picking up first blood means that he's one step closer towards a very quick Essence Reaver.
Gotta give him the benefit of the doubt sometimes. It was a cool Cocoon if he was going for Max. And no vision here of Beyond making his way. And not even a ward in that brush either, so Beyond could get a really nice position in the bot lane.
Well, there are no wards because Wolf chose to go with Mobies early, so he's looking for roam play, same as Max, without vision, but he's going so far back. There are chains of corruption available.
There it is. They're looking for the chain in general, but a perfect Feather Storm into Lantern. Wolf was waiting all the way back, too. It's almost like they sniffed that one out.
She's basically Callista, except she Fates calls herself. That's pretty much what it is.
Balanced. It's pretty nice. Missing the chains here, but Faker is going in. The red buff. Ian is looking for that Elise power. Faker, thankfully for him, will flash a Scatter of the Weak. Gets out of harm's way.
That's a necessary flash, even though he was relatively healthy. Unleashed power was still available, and look at the level advantage he has. He's been able to freeze this lane on top of the kill that he got onto the Rek'Sai. Now he's level 9 to a level 7 Syndra, and they're eyeing Maha, who does not have flash yet.
Those Mobies, man. Look at Wolf speeding on in. He's looking for the play for the easy kill, and that's about as easy as they come. Even an assist going over to Bang, who wasn't really even part of that fight.
That's what happens when Max goes to the mid lane, abandons Maha, and immediately SKT gets to respond. The Mobies onto Wolf, as you're talking about. The Elise, even though she doesn't have Mobies herself, has that completed Runic Echoes, which does allow her to move a little bit faster than if she did not have any of those items completed. And now first brick going over to SKT means that that's a 3,000 gold lead 11 minutes in without much effort.
Well, this is the SKT we know and love. I mean, solo kill out of Faker. Nice plays down in bottom lane between Bang, Wolf, and Peanut.
TP.
And they're looking to snowball, as they do. There's the hook, though, onto Wolf, and an equalizer. The double knock-up, that's going to be the end of that guy. I spoke too well about them. I cursed them. We're going to lose at least one member here.
I've just been cursing everyone all day.
I know. That is the curse of us casters. Faker just walks out. Speaking of that, it looks like he wants Beyond again. Beyond this time will be able to tunnel away.
It was a wise move from MVP there. Oh, wait a minute, he should be fine. Distortion's out.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have his jump. He needs Bang to come in here. Looking for that Void Rush, but the pop back. Here's Max with the hook, though. Going for that kill onto Faker. Can he actually kill him, though? The regen! Okay, he does go down. And Bang will be chased by ADD. So SKT getting a little bit too deep there.
2 kills, so he tries to go for the wreck site, but everybody's there to collapse. And it's Max that comes to the rescue, ends up killing Faker with the flash fist right at the end. Lantern, oh,
they're looking for this play. Max in a ton of trouble here. Nice knock up, but I don't think that's going to save his life. ADD also wants to go 1v2, but there's the repel. They're looking for that burst. That's a double kill to Wolf.
Undecisive on that one. ADD could have committed a little bit earlier. There was Ignite on Max, and they could have tried to salvage that play, but because he chose none immediately, they both pay with their lives, and what was immediately SKT overstepping their bounds and getting punished by the roaming Blitzcrank ends up resulting in 2 kills going their way.
Faker pushing on in, making that Leblanc look super scary.
So here it is. He goes over the wall. He's tanking Krug, so he should be fine right now, but here comes where ADD collapses. So he doesn't have his distortion anymore, and he's tanking a lot of damage from this Rumble, so he manages to heat well, gets those autos in. Here's where Blitzcrank comes in, so it's a nice dodge there by him using the distortion. And Max is able to just take him out right here, but the Xayah on the left side of your screen, which you can't see, ends up getting 1v1 by the Rumble. A little bit of assist from the Rex, and in the end, we saw what happened with Rumble and Blitz dying to Thresh Elise.
So Max coming to the rescue. It was funny how he had to flash for that last auto. I thought maybe Faker distorts out of there. He's going to land the chains here, and Ian just going to lose half his health bars if it didn't even exist.
Ian had to go with those Merc treads early against so much crowd control on the side of SKT. It will help against Leblanc as well, but because Leblanc got so far ahead early on, Ian doesn't have control of this lane, even in vision, as Peanut and Wolf have completely taken over the red side.
Yep, the duo of vision, the vision duo.
Well, that combination, their abilities have such great synergy within themselves. You have both Thresh and Elise that can start things off with either a hook or a cocoon, which is a similarly long-range ability. You follow up with the other, then you can help each other close the gap. Both Repel and Lantern allow you to cover immense distances, and then the damage between all of them, coupled with the crowd control, means that you can stack them up pretty well as you get some levels in cooldown and cooldown reduction. So it's a great combination to roam around the map, especially in the mid game, and I like how teams play it as a duo. Post laning phase, those two are the guys to watch, jungle and support.
I was kind of disappointed that Untara and Peanut couldn't make anything work together. Peanut really was just focusing in the bot lane mostly. Push back here from Ian. Never mind.
I mean, sometimes you might be thinking, yeah, you go with Elise into the Renekton and it's an easy lane, but if ADD is playing safe enough and the opportunities don't present themselves, you have the added benefit of the enemy team thinking that, okay, he wants to go topside, and they weaken their bottom side and are more susceptible to action happening on that side of the map. And as a jungler, you have to have the flexibility to recognize those moments.
Whoa, Untara all alone does get that slice and dice. That was a dicey situation for him 1v4. He was looking for the Scuttle Crab, but everybody from MVP in a position to take this Mountain Drake now will not be contested by SKT, and they're starting the Rift Herald a little bit late here.
But they're trading a Mountain Dragon for a top tier 1. ADD had previously used his Equalizer onto the wave, but Bang and Untara have done sufficient damage to that tower that it's not a worthwhile trade for MVP at this stage in the game. Maybe later it will pay off if they can keep up, but gold going the way of SKT is exactly what they want. They need to get more gold, more turrets to enhance their vision and prepare them for a Baron in the upcoming 5 to 10 minutes, and that's the way that they snowball. Dragons don't snowball a game. It's gold and towers.
Very true. We've seen it before, where teams, they get one dragon and win the game at times, and
one dragon, one game. What?
They get one dragon compared to 2 or 3 of the other team, and they still win the game. you know, it doesn't really matter how many dragons you have. It depends on how the game goes.
Oh, yeah.
As you were saying. And there was one ping that went onto the Rift Herald while SKT was doing it, but MVP just decided to back off after getting Mountain Drake. Didn't want to go in there. They had no vision. Didn't want to be caught out, so they kind of just give that objective away, and it was given to Faker, who's now in the bot lane. So not looking to use it in mid lane just yet.
Oh, with the not very strong defense that MVP have onto the mid lane, and with how strong Faker is on the side lanes right now, if somebody does not answer him, he might be able to use that Herald to pop a tier 2, which is a nice chunk of change in his pockets. So we might see that happening, but the vision has to be the one that tells us that story. And so far, it's relatively shallow, only a control ward over the blue buff, but everything else, the river, belongs to SKT.
Yeah, the entire river, by the way, not just the bottom side or the top side. It's the entire river. There's one ward in the mid lane from MVP and a couple in the blue side jungle, but that's about it. And Faker, he is not going to get hooked this time. Distort's back. He's going on Ian. He wants to get that kill, but also wants to dodge that. Here comes the Void Rush. He is going to flash, but a little bit late. But he's trying to distort out. There's the Lantern, and Wolf will save his life. And so much used to try to catch Faker. Meanwhile, mid-turret's going down.
4 people got sent down, and none of them were able to clean him up. Those Merc Treads doing so much work for him, keeping him alive. Otherwise, he surely would have gone down. And the Lantern to boot, make sure he gets out of that, and not giving Beyond the chance to go for that Prey Seeker that we saw before.
I mean, even if they did get Faker, you know, they would have lost so much health on this mid-tier 1. Would it have been worth it in the end? I suppose if they killed him right away and rotated back, would have been nice.
Yeah, exactly. Kills are only worthwhile based on how long they take. So here he has a great dodge, and he wants to dodge out of the stun, but I don't think he would have died to Ian's combo after that one. So he tries to flash out of that one, and here's he's just looking for the Prey Seeker, but just doesn't have it. Gets out. That was cool. He drew so much pressure. You don't see often players capable of creating opportunities for your team to get advantages elsewhere and not die for it. So many times you see a split pusher going and say, all right, well, I died, guys. What can you get in return? But Faker doesn't die, and SKT still get advantages elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, I mean, it's Faker, and it's also Faker's Leblanc, right? The champion that he's playing. He dodges double stun and even, you know, chunks Ian down and gets away with it at the end. And part of the reason MVP was trying to kill him in total was he still has that Rift Herald, hasn't used it yet, still in his inventory.
It's about the threat of Herald. Not really, you want to use it.
From the dead, Herald's still a threat to everybody. There it is, and the stun is coming through. It's going to be interrupted. Oh boy, Faker making a mistake. No more Rift Herald.
Yeah, that was a bizarre use of Rift Herald right in the face of the brush, not knowing where Ian was, so he goes for an easy stun. And now Rift Herald is no more, and I think that's one of the ones that takes a cake for worst Rift Herald use. It never even came out.
Yeah, I think that does take the cake. Because in other, you know, it's been interrupted before, as we talked about in the last series, but maybe only 1 or 2 times. But not just like that, where basically Ian, he blew no summoners, nothing, and just walked up and stopped it.
But Leblanc is going to be fine trading like this. With the Gunblade, her regeneration on the wave is similar to what a Fiora with a Tiamat can do, which goes for some cheeky tower dive damage, gets those vital procs, and then regenerates off the wave with your Tiamat, and then does it again. Similarly, Leblanc with the Gunblade goes for some damage or can take some negative trades that may look hideous on their part, and then regenerates right back up. Here's another attempt.
He gets the slow with the Hextech Gunblade, and down to half health, or even a third health is Ian. Immediate recall. Faker not even losing anything. What he's really low on is mana.
Yeah, so base comes out. I think he might be eyeing a Void Staff as a next item. The magic resistance on the side of MVP is going to slowly start to add up. Merc Treads are just the first wave of MR, but it actually is going to be that Banshee's Veil, which will be useful against Blitzcrank, Varus, the initial stun from Ian. It could even stop the knockup from beyond. So it's a wise defensive itemization considering the strong position that he's in and being a side lane threat.
Yeah, definitely do like it. And Max, he gets out of the laning phase. Okay, they lose the laning phase for sure, but still have the threat of this hook. Ever prevalent, sitting on a control ward. You can just hook Bang or really anyone. Uh-oh. Hold that thought. Ian in a lot of trouble. The flash forward from Bang is perfect. The Feather Storm, though, Ian will sidestep. Won't get hit by the pullback that looks like it was on cooldown from Bang. And he does get away.
Just playing with fire there. I almost thought for a second that they would commit even more to try to get Ian killed before that fight.
Ooh.
And Utara, he doesn't have a second dash.
He's like, I don't need that lantern. I'll just wait as long as possible. Now, double ocean is going to be pretty nice for SKT. Bang being chased here. Beyond death sentence. Prey Seeker does hit Bang, but they can't make anything work as they do give over that Ocean Drake.
So look at Untara's items. He's gone with an adaptive helm, and so many times, especially earlier in the season, we'd see top laners go, or even mid laners, just so many people going for the adaptive helm early on without actually seeing whether or not it was a good item at the time. Wait a minute.
Oh, the flay from Wolf. Double flay. That's probably going to be both of them locked down. Goodbye bot lane of MVP. Meanwhile, Untara saying, ADD, get out of my lane. I'm the new top laner of SKT. You can't fight my Renekton.
I wasn't even going to diss the adaptive helm. It was praising me for talking well about it. It's a great choice here because when you're dealing with Rumble and Syndra, it nullifies so much of the consistent damage that it will deal. The teleport comes out to zone out Renekton.
Immediate cleanse here from Ian, but oh boy, being chased now. The knockup onto Faker won't even matter, and the teleport in from Untara. A lot of members of SKT getting very low though, and Beyond is in here. They're forced to back off, but the hook is gonna take them out. Will SKT go back onto this Baron? Everybody's super low. The rest of them are chasing ADD up here in the top lane. Can they even get the kill? One more Q would do it, but the flash forward from Max. He's looking for the kill back onto Untara, but the double slice and dice. In comes Faker, the Hexa Gunblade gets the kill. And finally they pick up that Rumble.
And Max was so close to killing Untara there. If he had used the static field, they might have been able to clean him up, but it allowed Faker to come in right at the end as they were baffled that Renekton survived and just drops the Gunblade onto the Rumble.
Zapped him.
Tased.
Faker making this LeBlanc look like a big meta pick. We see it every once in a while.
It's only the guys that can truly play her well.
And Faker's definitely one of them. I mean, this was the champion that he had that crazy undefeated spree on, right? The LeBlanc. So, I mean, he's bringing it back. He's always got it in his pocket. Definitely just a hashtag Faker thing.
Yeah, so here it is. The teleport comes out from Renekton, and the stun was excellent to stop Wolf from coming into the pit. And while they try to do damage onto the Rek'Sai, she does use her ultimate to get over the wall. Oh. But unfortunately gets up. Just had her eye on Peanut, thinking that maybe she could get Peanut dead and go for a steal, but it was just too much. And here he goes. Let's see if Blitz could have gone for the ult. Oh, yeah. You can get that ulti off, right? Actually, was it? I believe it was down. A bit bugged out there to see if it came out or not. However, SKT did walk away victorious on that fight, and now they get to reset onto this Baron to do it again, but they do not have Renekton's teleport, so it's not going to be as easy as last time. So now LeBlanc takes the place of Renekton in the bottom lane, and she does have teleport.
Yeah, we always talk about the 1-3-1, and when you're running teleport LeBlanc, one of the strongest. Faker doing it just right. No answer for him just now. It looks like maybe they're going to send ADD.
Well, actually, Faker actually has champions that he was bad on. There is one that
Well, what's that?
Comes to it's Xerath.
Xerath?
Actually, yeah. I believe he wasn't the best Xerath out there, but luckily that pick hasn't been too meta. It's always just been your one or two players, such as GBM, trying to make that pick work, and surely they made it work, but not many others. It's kind of in the same category as Ziggs.
What about the Vel'Koz? We had a couple of people playing it mid lane in spring.
Definitely good at Vel'Koz. Definitely good at Vel'Koz.
Oh, I wasn't saying you know, he was bad at it. I was just saying, what about the Vel'Koz? What happened to him? We never see him anymore.
He has 0 defensive tools and is probably one of the squishiest mid laners. Here's a hook up to Beyond.
They're looking for this. If they can catch Beyond, that's going to be a gigantic pit, but he does tunnel underneath, and Baker, he's going in, looking for those chains. Hex deck to start, but misses the chains, and so they will not pick up the kill.
Beyond just barely getting away. Had a Wolf saved his fillet or the Lantern for the tunnel, they might have been able to actually kill the Rek'Sai. But now MVP gets another chance to start cleaning out some vision, and Max does so wisely, and this is good by them to get control of the mid lane first. As long as they control mid, the chances of SKT doing Baron go down significantly, and they can resume clearing the waves and looking for opportunities to pick SKT, because right now they are completely dependent on Max's hook to get anything done, or SKT overextending.
Yeah, I'm sitting 7,000 gold behind, really just struggling to hang on and clear out whatever vision they can, trying to stop these Barons, and they did just barely do that in the last fight around Baron.
But remember that Blitzcrank on the red side does offer the off-the-wall Baron hook, which is so annoying to deal with. You usually sit there, try to block anybody from coming in, but when you have Blitzcrank, it's such a dangerous proposition to go there and try to defend against anything. So while SKT, normally you'd see them accelerate the game faster in this scenario, because of the draft that MVP has, it becomes that much more problematic to go for this Baron. Look at this, right? They sit there, but you always have Blitzcrank that can hook you over the wall, and the Lantern is unlikely to save you with the wealth of crowd control and CC that MVP has to offer. So they have to be even more thorough with their vision and lane control, which is one of the powerful benefits of a Blitzcrank on red side.
Yeah, apparently another big benefit is making sure that your AD carry gets the red buff, because as we saw, Bang and Wolf, they were trying to steal the red buff away, but Max was like, no, that's ours. Give that back. Maha does get it.
It's a good synergy between Blitz and Rek'Sai, proccing those Banshee's Veils, then going for hooks. There's still a Scrying Orb they can pull if they are worried about a Baron being started, but I believe a second that they show on the lanes, SKT should not, or MVP should be fine knowing that SKT is not a Baron. They just have to keep tabs on Xayah and Elise. As long as those two are on the map clearing some minions, they shouldn't be worried about a Baron going down, and they definitely should not be worrying about a 30-minute Cloud Dragon.
Yeah, it just seems like SKT is very willing to play this pretty slow. You know, they have Bang scaling up, but they do run out of the power that Elise and Renekton do offer in the early
cautious,
to
Valdez,
mid-game.
cautious. You can't let the Blitzcrank get those hooks off. At this stage in the game, if they are to lose a Baron, SKT would likely collapse in their base. They don't have a wealth of wave clear. You have Leblanc, who against Baroned up minions is not going to have the easiest time. Xayah, who does not have a strong wave clear tool in her build or in her kit. She's going to be stuck playing super far back when you're dealing with Blitzcrank, because she doesn't have a ban. She's, whoa, whoa. That's a lot of damage on that W, but they just have to be extremely thorough with this Baron before they decide to make a move on it. This is confident, right? You want to make sure that if you do it right.
Yeah. Well, now they have a Cloud Drake, so they can move around the map pretty fast. But as you said, not really the biggest steal in the world. I hope they don't play it ultra cautious to the point where they wait for the Elder Dragon to come up.
No, I don't
have time for that to make its way.
I doubt they're aiming for that, but remember that they're still getting a lead in the bottom side. Renekton has been chunking out that inhibitor turret by himself. The adaptive helm has allowed him to sustain through Rumble, and now they get to make some moves topside the second that they reveal top or a mid.
Yeah, I mean, just brick by brick basically on these turrets. Not ever committing to a dive or to a gigantic push, but just a couple of hits from the red buff of Bang, and slowly the turrets get chunked. And they rotate to mid, they rotate into top. Faker with that ever-looming presence that Ian's still having trouble dealing with.
Here they are, Zaya and Elise, so they push out the lanes, and they might have bought just enough time to go for this, and now Renekton gets to overextend bottom lane. He needs to draw some attention, make MVP think twice about going anywhere, and now the Baron gets to go their way. So very well played from SKT. They push out, and they secure the objective without any chance of retaliation from MVP side.
Yeah, basically perfect after the first Baron attempt. No mistakes in securing finally the Baron at about 32 minutes and a half. And now the real fun can begin, as these pushes will definitely make their way. That mid lane turret getting to about half health here. That looks to be the first target. We got Untara going for a Guardian Angel, so he's built pretty tanky. Adaptive Helm, Randuin's, has that Black Cleaver though, and he's going to have a second life in just a minute here.
It's actually curious how now Renekton's, Camille's, Fiora, so many of the physical top laners are getting to go Guardian Angel. The item originally being like, oh, okay, we're going to make this an AD carry kind of item, an AD item. But now the top lane tank bruisers that typically would normally get AGA in the previous iteration of it when there was MR and Magic for this, and Ben gets caught.
Okay, Feather Storm, and he does flash out of the hook, but he was playing with fire there. You could tell he really wanted to push that mid lane, and the second the Lantern ran out, that was when Ian was like, okay, now's my chance. Here it is, and he does land the stun, but Faker does, or rather, Bang does get out of there with his summoners.
Self-heal is huge. Now targets some damage on bottom side, but back on the point of the
Guardian Angel.
Yeah, the Guardian Angel, thank you. You have all these top lane bruisers that can abuse the itemization and now get so much more damage when they're ahead, and the team fighting presence remains the same. And hell, if he even wants to, he could even go for a Gargoyle Stone Plate on top of it later.
Yeah, definitely not a bad idea as we go in. But okay, we got Bang being put in the bouncy pit, jumping around, being hooked all over the place. And I mean, no summoners, he gets caught a second time. Maybe getting a little bit impatient in this game.
That might have been beyond initiating with the tunnel over the mid lane and using flash, so that looks like that's what it was.
Faker still has his Banshee's Spell up. Max was going for the hook. Was hoping to break it first, but oh boy, look at this. Underneath turret, Untara. But ADD does have that Zhonya's plus the redemption. And with that rotation, Peanut and Wolf able to take out this mid-tier too.
This is one of the reasons why SKT have to be patient. Renekton is slowly more capable of dealing with Rumble, threatening a dive, and had there been pressure on mid lane, it's unlikely that Varus would have responded, and Rumble would have likely had to flash or burn Equalizer to get out of that situation. Renekton's only sitting at about 1,500 gold up on Rumble, but due to the build, due to the timings and Baron, he's more than capable of threatening a dive, and that's a window of opportunity for SKT to start creating leads and start cracking bases. And as expected, Renekton is going to be going for that Gargoyle Stone Plate with that Null Magic Mantle, or Negatron Cloak, pardon, completed. And now Rumble is going to be in an even saltier pickle.
In an even saltier pickle. The saltiest pickles are the most delicious, but apparently not for ADD in this game. Look at the quadruple scanner out of SKT. They just deny vision all game long. Oh, the play here out of Peanut. The repel into the cocoon. Easy peasy follow-up from Wolf. And down goes ADD the Rumble. So should be an easy Elder Drake pickup if they want it.
It's an odd choice there from ADD, choosing not to flash out of that cocoon, seeing the imminent danger that was looming, and now pays with his life. And SKT looks like they don't care about this dragon. They still have a couple of seconds onto the Baron. And if they can actually get Baron to push some minion waves, okay, they're falling back onto Elder now. But Faker remains to push confidently top side. There's not a whole lot that they can do. Remember it last time, it took 4 people to try to gun him down, and he still made it out alive. So similarly this time around, they will need multiple carries as well as CC left, right, and center to take him out.
I love how he maximizes his efficiency at the same time. The amount of times that he's gone for Krugs, just rotating in, taking the Raptors. Definitely one of the earliest things I learned in League when I was playing in Season 2, when it was all about just farming in the mid lane. You just want to get every single creep that you possibly can, and Faker does it all while pushing top.
Well, it's so much more than Faker trying to get himself ahead. It's getting the jungler behind. And notice how Beyond is level 15 to Peanut 17. That's because they have been thoroughly cleaning out all the camps as they come in, and that sets your jungler in a better position to succeed and puts theirs, who's a critical initiation tool in this game, super far behind. And now anytime he goes in, he's more than likely to get popped right away, as now there's Elder, that's a 4-item Xayah, as well as a 4-item Leblanc that a squishier Rek'Sai just cannot withstand.
Rek'Sai does have the Abyssal Mask. Faker going for the assassination beyond the inhibitor onto Ian, but does miss those chains.
And such a disjointed identity from Rek'Sai here, with the Abyssal Mask helping Syndra and Rumble at the same time. The Tiamat for the early game, then the Cinderhulk to be tankier, and now the Randuin is going to come out a little bit later. So a little bit of everything there with the buffet build.
Yeah, it's definitely an awkward spot for him. He was able to participate in some of the ganks that we saw earlier on, but oh man, that hook missing Faker, who does still have the Banshee's Veil. And finally, they do crack this bottom lane turret. They've been working on that one for quite a while. Bang, once again, eating that damage, but does get out of there with the Feather Storm.
Getting a bit too close. Syndra can always drop an unleashed power, and if he's not at 100% HP, he is likely to go down. Baron comes up in 30 seconds, so SKT would be wise not to take a fight at this moment, whereas MVP should be looking for a pick. However, there is multiple Banshees now on the side of SKT, which make it that much harder for Max to be the leader in searching for this.
Oh, the flash in. He wants Maha's life, and not just Maha's life. He wants this inhibitor, as Maha was the only one around there. Look at both Beyond and Ian up in top lane, just clearing out the waves, and looks like they're definitely going to respect the Blitzcrank for now. They don't overstay their welcome. As you mentioned, Baron did just spawn.
A fight here would be the equivalent of what we saw on Sunday in the match between Ever and Rox Tigers, where Ever got so far ahead, took a Baron, or chose to take a fight about 10 seconds before Baron lost, and lost the Baron, which stalled out the game for another 15 minutes. And that's the last thing that SKT want to be doing. The game is going to 40. They still have a solid lead, but they need to be thorough with it. They don't want to be throwing anytime soon.
The cautious Baron take begins again. As MVP, they're very far behind, but one objective away from making a case to come back in this game.
And the way they do that is that they likely will have to sacrifice the inhibitor into the bottom side. SKT needs to be pressuring both Baron, mid lane, and bottom with Renekton. And then MVP is having to make the choice of, do you go for Renekton or do you choose to defend the Baron? In order to stall out the game, it would be beneficial for them to go for a Baron fight and sacrifice the inhibitor using the teleport from ADD. And what SKT wants to do is dance around MVP, have them commit to a teleport, having them to pull back, and then you continue to push with the Renekton, making the choice that Rumble has no opportunity or no option to join that fight. Right now, however, they're strong enough to two-man this Baron. That's not full AP at least that can easily mow this down with the help of Xayah.
Yeah, unfortunately, no Mountain Drake on their side, but still going to be incredibly fast. Bang, rotating over, taking out all the wards that were put down. And they have total control of the Baron pit right now. But here we go. They have started it, but immediately MVP, they're making their move. I think they've sniffed this one out. The hook goes down onto Max. No follow-up damage in SKT. They're just not going to take the chance. They're not going to stay on that Baron.
They'll keep trying them every single time. Just see, okay, how do they react? How much time did we have to go for this Baron? If we push and try again, how much time do we have this time around? We chunked out Max. Maybe we can go for it again. Remember that while Beyond does have Flash, he cannot enter the pit with Tunnel.
Okay, here we go. Preyseeker is down. They're going for it. Ian is going to check with that W vision. Over comes Faker looking for that assassination, and there it is. Chain's now going to go on to Beyond and a double kill as Beyond and Ian, trying to be the heroes, get swiped over by Faker.
And poor communication from MVP, not deciding who needs to base, how are we going to protect this Baron at this instance, and they get punished right away. 2 kills. Baron and Nuntara didn't even die. He's still just lurking around, full HP, has his flash, so ready to take on this inhibitor.
I love the positioning of him too. He's like, oh, are they rotating? Are they looking for me? And the second that Rumble shows, he's like, oh yeah, okay, they were. And perfect positioning, very precise play, cautious.
This has been
sharp like a knife.
Yeah, clinical game from SKT. Sure, the timer looks a little bit longer than your average game time of around 35, but so far they have been playing it to a T.
Yeah, now on their second Baron, this is really when they push it in. And SKT, they'll give you what you give them. If you're going to play it super safe, they'll play super safe with you and wait until you make one mistake and take over the game. If you're going to give away kills, well, then they're going to roll over you in 25 minutes. So this time it was a slower one. They're looking to end it out, taking out Beyond, as well as Ian, make that 3. As the rest of them are going to cower in the base, and they're looking for one more. They actually do get ADD on the back of it. Game number 1 will finish in 43 minutes.
Not a single turret went MVP's way. Only 5 kills in under 44 minutes. And sure, they might be thinking, oh boy, that sure took a while, but just so well executed by their part. Score lines are beautiful all around. It was only Bang, really, that ended up getting caught a couple of times. And Nuntara continues his reign of dominance. Now 12-0, 2 more games over Huni. Him and Blanc seem to be on fire.
Yeah, keep this guy in the lineup. I like this Nuntara fella. He's doing well on his Renekton. You know, not the most flashy player, but extremely smart. You can tell just his positioning, the plays that he makes in the side lanes. He never gets caught out, always in the right position, pressuring. You know, it could just be one of the other members, maybe Wolf's telling him, okay, now go push, and now back off. But whatever's going on, it's working out for SKT and Nuntara.
And that's what Blanc mentioned. It's not that he got better. It's that the team's communication, that the team synergy improved, and that has allowed him to shine. And it seems like that kind of communication has just allowed everybody on SKT to shine just a little bit brighter.
Yeah, it's very obvious to see. Nuntara's putting his jacket on, so I don't know what that means. He's not unplugging anything yet, so we'll have to assume that he's staying in for now. MVP really just thinking over that ADD on the Rumble. Had a rough time. Had some nice equalizers, but that's about it.
This is a good play for them to commit right away to killing the Resh, and eventually it's devolved into this one where they're going for Faker, and they were able to actually clean 2 people on this fight. They actually end up killing Faker with him trying to dodge out of the Void Rush with the distortion, but eventually Max does pick him up, as well as off your screen. They clean Bang, but then they get greedy, and they end up losing 2 members for it. The indecisiveness here, right? So you see Rumble coming in, he's like, could I participate? He's waiting for his heat. However, in hindsight, I actually think he might not have been able to follow through on that one. Not being able to use 2 damage abilities was the difference, and this is where Faker just gets away, drawing pressure at 4 members. Even Maha is chasing in here, trying to do something, but Faker just gets away scot-free.
Hashtag just Faker things on LeBlanc, and the double play, as you were talking about, just one moment you get out of position, SKT will conquer you. Down goes the bot lane into this Baron fight, which is pretty interesting.
It's like a game of fencing. You simply go, you try to poke, you get nothing, and then you keep doing it. You keep doing the technique that you have refined a million times over, and the second that the opportunity comes through, you strike blood, and that's exactly what SKT did here. And the praise really could not be more at this stage. We saw their macro be exceptional. Gunblade, gunned down,
zapped.
The Wild Wild West. Their macro was exceptional against KT, and it has not worsened. That's what we can say here against MVP.
Yeah, they give up 5 kills and 1 Drake over to MVP. But Faker And SKT, their reign continues. Bang with the most damage in the game. Rumble with a pretty intense amount of damage against that Renekton. And the Syndra with 9,000 damage. We were talking about Cassiopeia's damage, and this is another number where it's like, okay, 43 minutes, 9,000.
Well, remember how the matchup started. Syndra was winning these trades. Faker had to teleport back, but the timing on his base was able to freeze the wave, climb back, then he got a kill off a Beyond that did not respect his damage and gave first blood to him, and Snowball began.
So MVP, they have to go back to the drawing board if they want to stand up to SKT. Let's go to a short break. When we come back, we'll have game number 2.